welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
In accent, we need God. Because only God can bring us out of this mess.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood. First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In the winning for the long haul, baby. We're going straight for the jugular. You know how we do. There he goes, the president of the Maryland Business Economic Council, the Honorable Herman Taylor. Good morning, sir. How are you?
How's it going, Doni? Good morning.
Good, good. What's been happening in your world?
Hey man, just fighting power. I was trying to fix it from the inside, and now I'm trying to fix it from the outside.
I want to get to the good stuff. Before we get to that, tell me about fatherhood.
Oh, that's wonderful, man. I just old father, and it's it's just a wonderful experience, man. I've got young son trying to raise a young king, and and the importance of that, right, of making sure we're spending time and building building a man, as they say, as opposed to later on trying to repair one, as the saying goes. So I take it very seriously. It's the greatest title and role I've ever had, and I'm thankful to God that he at a late age granted me the favor of having the responsibility and the title and everything that comes along with it of fatherhood. So I'm really blessed and thankful.
If you were still in office, would fatherhood change your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely, it would, especially with the schools, of course, and of course, public education. You see it, there's no question, you see it through a different lens. And it just changes, I guess, not even just your perspective on school, but, the whole role of government and how it intersects and impacts people's lives. Where I served, it's always, I think, sometimes forgotten and needs to be reminded. There's really two main functions of the legislative body in Annapolis, of the entire legislature. The two main things:
balance the budget and adequately fund public education.
Donna, you this is why I guess you have this program. You're a leader. You're a leader and a scholar, because I didn't have to. There's no teaching it need. I don't even need to be on this program today.
Oh yes, you do. Oh yes, you do. So let's move along to the great accomplishment earlier this year. You were able to do something you had done 15 years ago. I'll never forget the first MBE night in Annapolis, where initially people were giving you the cold shoulder, stiff arming you. That night in Annapolis, the house was packed. There were Black business people everywhere. MBE night in Annapolis. I'll never forget it, because the very people who wouldn't support it then came to try to usurp it.
You remembered all that. Yeah, man. Listen, thank you and the leadership of your station and yourself and everything for helping me that year. I lined up. I lined up with the right people. You were part of it. It was about 10 of us, and I got people together. All the leaders. Across the state. Wayne Frazier, yourself. So many others from the community, not the politicians.
Wasn't Chad with us at that time?
Who?
Chad.
I don't
Reverend
think.
Chad, the Reverend.
Oh yes, yeah, I think so. I don't know if he had passed.
No, he hadn't.
I think you're right. Wow,
Chad
I
was there.
forgot.
I know he was there.
Yes, yes, yes. Shet.
Chet Howard.
That's right.
Chet Howard.
I think you're
God
right.
rest
I
his
think you're
soul.
right. I think you're right. I can't. God, it's like not that long ago, but I guess it is. So yeah, you're right.
He was
And
like
so again,
a little man with that big with the overcoat. He
the
always
briefcase.
the briefcase.
Yeah, so again, I assembled the leaders like yourself from the community, and we did the damn thing. I mean, it was amazing. They had even asked me once we got up to 15 or 1600 RSVPs, and we did not. Then we had to search for a different room, and so we were running around the Annapolis campus at the State House trying to figure out. We didn't have a room that held 1400, but what was the largest room, which was coming up around 600 or more. But eventually they said to me, "Why do you have all these people coming up here?" And I was like,
No, they wanted
I
to
thought,
say, why do you have all of these black people here?
yeah, right. But they, right. But they said, why? And again, I thought the oddity of that was, you know, but people congregate. This is the people's house. That's what happens. People come and petition government. I was taken aback by the question. We knew the undercurrent of it, or in the motivation potentially, but it was still like quite a question to ask when that is part of the function.
Did they ask that on January 6th? Did anybody ask that question on January 6th?
Right.
We know they asked that question October 16, 1996. Was that the date of the Million Man March? 95?
Yeah, something around there. 95.
So we know they were going to ask that question because, well, we knew they didn't have to ask because they all left D.C.
Right.
But they were there in D.C. on January 6th.
Right.
What do you think of that? You're right there in Montgomery. You work in D.C. What were you thinking when you saw people scaling the wall of the Capitol?
Well, it was just unimaginable. You really didn't know what you were watching, in a sense, because it was just such an attack organized by our own our well
Ain't
our
no
own or their
Al.
own president.
I'm not claiming. Ain't no Al.
I mean, so
These
obviously
these are descendants of the losers of the Civil War,
right.
1865, and they still, that don't work in West Baltimore. You get in a fight, you win, you lose, but you go home, and the next day you're playing together. I mean, now we've evolved to a shooting culture, but there was a certain order. You put your dukes up, you fight, and it's over, and you go home. You ain't carrying a grudge for 20 and 30 and 40 years over something that happened back in 1972.
But
that's some serious mental health stuff, man. You taking up a fight you know nothing about. Everything you know is what somebody told you, including they told you to hate black people.
Right.
Because they're black.
Right. But let me go on and just say this: with the issues and struggles that we have, and still to this day in our community, especially in the parts of the DC Beltway, that I'm working, doing a lot. MBE night is statewide, and I'm really proud that I brought that back to some extent. Brought it was always going on. It was just that we really did it up this past year. I think what you were alluding to, we, got, touched a lot of people, reached a lot of people. There were a lot of stories that that were really touching in terms of businesses that were. I met this one lady at MBE night where she's from Baltimore. Her son and her have built a business, and he's in jail. And yet he's working while he's serving time, has a role in the business, and whatever can be done in a limited way, he's literally working with her in the business. So, and it's a nonprofit. So and the purpose is not only to serve the community, but when he gets out, he's going to have a job. And it was just such a powerful story. And it just reminded me of why we were there, because people need opportunity. People need a chance. Hundreds of people
said that nobody hires black people like black people. So if people wonder why you and I are always talking about black business, it's because we understand the economic impact. You want to fight crime? The best crime fighting plan in the entire world is a job. Because a cat trying to go get that bag of money legally does not have time to stand on a corner and participate in foolishness.
Right. Well, one of the things, yeah, you're right. We talk, you and I and others preach what you're alluding to, every chance we get, right? We're talking about, okay, black business or minority business, and what people got to understand that means is maybe a wider viewpoint, like you're alluding to. And it just, this whole government is built off, an economic system, right? It's an economic system. And so I don't know what else if we're not talking about economics, I don't know what the discussion is about. So I think it was Calvin Coolidge that said, the business of America is business.
That's right.
That's what made this country great. And so we should be having that discussion daily. And what I found of all my years serving and everything I've done, especially in government, is that we still have to trying to fight to get the government out of the business of distributing inequality. I think they are still, they blame the private sector, but the government is still the largest purveyor of distributing inequities to people.
I think back, I don't know if you have my second book, I Am Black Wall Street, but I discussed the Homestead Act in there. And the Homestead Act gave white people free land.
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't, around the same time, they had a problem dishing it out to black people.
Mm-hmm.
Basic empowerment stuff, 1862.
Well, and the government, again, and the government is still doing that. There's real estate. The government, Don Peoples mentioned this the other day in the discussion. For those, I'm sure everyone knows him, one of the largest
the people principles. He was the
right
the appraiser under Marion Barry.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. That was really good leadership under Marion Barry back then, right? What he did with Bob Johnson at BET, Don Peoples, look what he created. We don't have that today, where there are black folks getting elected and they're changing the dynamic of things. Under Barry's leadership, the MBE program, youth job program, and also billionaires were, I think, created, whether it was directly or indirectly from his leadership, like Bob Johnson and Peoples. But Peoples went on to say that about all of the land deals that the government is involved in to this day. They're still the largest transacting of real estate changing hands today that's going that, and these deals aren't going to black communities or black people. These are going to predominantly white people.
So let me just throw in here, Keith Clinkscales said at a Black Entrepreneurship Weekend, this had to be 20 years ago, that the 3 ways to get rich in America are media, banking, and real estate. When you think about here in Baltimore, the many vacant houses, that's lost legacy. That's grandma's house.
That's right.
But the grandson moved to Randallstown, the grandson moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and abandoned it. A lot of people want to call it gentrification. I call it abandonment. Harlem, places in DC, Brooklyn. We left. We wanted to leave Brooklyn, New York, and go to Long Island. We wanted, be out in a more suburban area. Meanwhile, we could have bought some of them brownstones.
Mm-hmm.
And now, white ladies are jogging around Harlem. I've seen it with my own eyes. There's a Whole Food in Harlem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, again, the issue is still trying to get access and get in the game. And occasionally not just always having to pay attention to pop culture in order to activate or get us to move where we're seeing you're out here every day fighting. I'm out here every day fighting. I don't have to watch something on the news that's so egregious that gets me in the street and start, again, I'm around the Beltway area, right, doing all this work. And sometimes I feel like I'm fighting by myself. I mean, nobody's turning over, somebody, I know we don't want riots and all this stuff, what we saw on, of course, January 6th, but occasionally, without it being something in pop, to me, it starts to get pop culture when you see it on the news and it goes viral and it has to do all this stuff. But withstanding that, right? Withstanding that, when we look at, it shouldn't even have to be stats because we're seeing it, but look at a stat, look at whatever. Why aren't we turning over a table? In a sense, why are we going in there and trust me, it's not happening. One of the things I'm getting.
Baltimore City Public Schools, I honestly believe that the parents ought to be protesting outside of school headquarters every single day. If it were a majority white school system, I honestly believe white parents would have turned it over. Are we scared? Are we apathetic?
But that's what they're doing now. Hold on, that's what they're doing out in Loudoun County in Virginia and all these places. With the policies that these school boards are doing, and the conservatives. We're talking about January 6th, but there's things similarly to that going on, Donnie, in school systems in parts of Virginia. Okay, where the parents are mad as hell and they're going in those school meetings. There has to be guns and guards at these school meetings and police there. Okay, at the school board meetings.
What's the issue? Is it teaching 5-year-olds gender identity? It's
that and race. And
you should mind your damn business and leave a 5-year-old alone and stop.
Yes, well, it's that and race theory. Yes. It's issues of race and the issues of gender.
It's critical race theory. People are embarrassed about what their ancestors did.
Yeah, I mean,
they were embarrassed about what their ancestors did. Here's a thought: stop being a damn racist yourself.
Right.
Nip it in the bud. I commend those people. You know how you're around white people and their children are comfortable engaging with you?
Mm-hmm.
You know that somewhere along the line, that white family had some positive interactions with black people because that child, how you doing? Just as comfortable, just as a child should be.
That's right. Yeah, in today's society, you're seeing that
more and more.
And today,
But you still got people holding on to the Civil War.
Right.
Saying it. Bob DeShields comes on the show all the time. I don't know if you know the attorney, but he said that there are certain people who feel like this country is theirs and theirs alone. Manifest destiny.
Right. And you say, hey, still holding on. I mean, think about it, you know, up until lately, until people got woke. I mean, we had highways and monuments and schools and everything, right? Named, you know, after, Confederate, leadership, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I used to drive down the highway, growing up in the DC Beltway area every day sometimes to go to work, called Jefferson Davis Highway. Okay, that's what I took to get to my job. Okay, so when you say holding on, look at everything they set up to ensure that that legacy would continue, and now it's being somewhat dismantled. Still have a long ways to go.
I'm gonna get real aggressive on you, and you weren't expecting this. First of all, let me read Manny Price's comment. Our leadership, Black fear, doing the necessary aggressive steps to foster wealth in our communities. Marion Barry had no fear. He moved aggressively to build Black wealth, and he did not care. His goal was distribution of the largesse of government in proportion to the racial makeup of DC. Here's my question for you, because I've been criticized by one of my friend's mom. You're a parent now. Do you condone spanking?
No.
Oh, you don't put your hands on little people?
Oh, no, absolutely. No, my mother didn't do it to me. My father did. My mother didn't, and told me why she did.
I'm with your dad. See, your dad knew you. Your dad knew he had to G-check you. Oh, so you one of them kumbaya parents.
Well, again, man,
little Herman, go sit in the corner.
No, but Donnie, we're all instruments, right, of our environment. And my mother would always boast about that she didn't, and why she didn't. So that's how I was.
Why didn't she?
I was raised.
What'd she say?
Because she felt that she had the friend. She was the friend type of parenting. People are different. I don't think there's one style. All right, and her style, and it's the same style I'm using with my son, where I'm relating to him best. I believe I'm relating to him better than his mother. His mother is a disciplinarian, maybe because whatever her parents did. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not with her now, right? So I don't know what the deal is with her, but she was raised a certain way. I was raised a certain way. She believes in discipline. She believes in the schedule, coming home at this, doing this, doing that. And I have the parenting style, like it or not, agree or disagree. Okay, I have a friend approach the way my mother treated me. And guess what? My mother got to me better than my father.
I ain't gonna say that. One day
so the discipline, the discipline can be a deterrent at a time, during adolescence, right? It can be a deterrent, but ultimately, who won the day was the bond and friendship I had with my mother, who never had to beat anything into me, but kept feeding me and nurturing me and giving me knowledge and guidance, and I really wound up that, wow, that was the best friend and mentor that I could have ever imagined. And the last point I want to say that I learned early on, because I used to get mad at my son and raise my voice, and he would get very scared when I'd get upset. And then I got a word, and it changed everything early. Thank God. Thank God. And that is that I don't want my son fearful of me. I don't want him to be scared of me. I don't want that. I want a relationship with me like he's doing now, where he comes home and tells his friend, his daddy, everything. When I go to the school and I'm doing stuff, they're like, how did he let you in on these secrets? Most kids' parents aren't doing it. So far, brother, man, how's it work? You know how they say when you're doing something, how's that working for you? It's working real good.
Here's a veteran here, Michael Haney. He's a veteran dad and granddad. As long as you show up, and that's the most important thing. Mr. Haney, your parents were smart enough to give you two perspectives. Well, let me tell you something. My parents banked me one day. You know what getting banked is?
Huh?
Do you know what getting banked is?
Spanked?
Banked.
No, yeah, banked. Yeah, I mean financial.
No. It's not financial. It could be financial. Getting banked is when you are by yourself, minding your business, and somebody you had a conflict with approaches, and they with their boy, and the two of them bank you. The two of them proceed to try to inflict violence on you. Well, my parents banked me one time. My dad was holding me, and my mom was wailing on me. But they were playing, but they were letting me know this can be real. But I did get one of them Kunta Kinte ass whippings once. I'll never forget that one. I won't do it no more. I won't do it no more. And I could plainly hear my father saying, I know goddamn well you won't. I won't do it no more. I know you won't.
Well, let me.
I just want to say this. I believe a parent's job is to put the fear of God in their child, because if you don't, you leave it for the 5-0 and the CO, the police and the correctional officer. In the state of Maryland, we have the highest percentage of incarceration in the nation. I didn't know that. I didn't know we were a national, that makes us a world leader, because America has 5% of the world's population.
Well, I mean, this is interesting, Donnie. Like you said, you sprung this on. Okay, and I know we're gonna go back to the matter, but this is interesting what you brought up, right? But let me say this. So that putting our hands on our children is still, we know ultimately we don't want them to do that, to be able to resolve problems in life by touching people, right? When they grow up, we know that we don't want them fighting in school. So we're really sending a conflicted message, because you're saying, because we're raising them and teaching them, and then so we're wondering why they fight and do all this stuff, because what we had to do in order to teach them anything is we had to beat them and put our hands on somebody. But no, you're not. So we send, this is why the country and the world is so screwed up, because we send diverting messages to people. Okay, every time I even get upset with my son, I teach him that I don't want him to act like daddy when I get upset, because I want him to have more degree of control and power, and keep his demeanor at a certain way. If he could grow up that way, if my son could grow up that way and become a man and never have to yell and scream and fight somebody, do you realize how proud that's going to make me? Because I want him to hold his power and not let other people control his mood or his mind, and always be in control of himself.
I grew up in Baltimore, and I went to Lamel, and that Kumbaya Pope Francis thing ain't working walking up that hill. You better throw them dukes up, because that's all it's going to save you.
Well, look, hey, I'm going to teach my son how to defend himself, please. I know they call me, back especially in the day, I was, the pretty, whatever they called it, light skin or whatever they teased me with. And then I became a legislator, one of the first African-American lawmakers in Montgomery. But look, I can throw down. That's what no one understood. This boy can throw down. Okay. I kicked every living, what, in Montgomery County schools. Nobody could beat me back then. Okay. They had to use weapons to come to me.
Man, I mean, it's wealthy.
They had to use weapons. They couldn't use these. Okay. Come on. I'm not going to raise no punk either. Okay. So, I mean, I'm going to teach him to defend himself. Okay, we're starting to take boxing lessons and everything now. So don't get me wrong. I'm not going to raise no punk. But I don't want him to be taught to feel that he has to use temper and fighting to resolve anything. I'm building something here. I'm building something, right? Because how we are. Hey,
there are things I've learned. There's some people that you need to get away from. They're just no good.
Absolutely.
Including women.
Right.
If you know people push your buttons,
Right.
the best thing to do is
But
remove yourself.
exactly. And you don't need to fight and argue or put your hands on somebody in order to do that.
Does that
Okay.
work in Annapolis?
Huh? What's that?
Does that work in Annapolis? Did you see anybody throw blows in Annapolis?
Yeah, that's my point. I got so mad at Nat Oaks. I caught okay because he would harass and tease everybody, and I had just got there, right?
He
I
was
was
busy teasing people. He should have been focused on his
I
work.
was 30. I was in my early 30s, and Nat Oaks, Delegate Nat, he hazed me. Okay, every chance he got, think about it. Even though you're in Annapolis, and it's like a college campus. Okay, it's like going to high school, going to college in terms of the environment, the interaction. And basically, you have people, just a couple like him. We became friends. I love him, but he would haze me every chance he got. So one time I don't know if he'll remember, I tried to fight him. Okay?
That's the only way he will respect you. He tried me on Pennsylvania Avenue, shake and bake. I come up out that blaze and let him know you will get waxed right here.
Right.
You and that Kofi.
Right.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Yeah, and that's right. It's funny you mentioned that. I wasn't the only one. Jim Proctor. Now, I Delegate Jim Proctor, who has his name at Bowie State University on buildings, he tried to fight Nat Oaks in a Democratic. We were at a Democratic meeting or whatever it was, the caucus meeting, and Nat Oaks publicly, just harassed him and tried to emasculate him in front of everybody. And then Delegate Jim Proctor,
while wearing the Afrocentric headpiece.
Yeah, and then
like a clown.
Delegate Jim Proctor, the vice chair of appropriations, got up out his seat, 75 years old, and started lunging for Nat Oaks. And then I got behind Jim Proctor and grabbed him and pulled him back. So sometimes things would boil over in Annapolis. Okay.
So you know damn well they fighting over the penitentiary. Y'all fighting in Annapolis. You know they fighting on the streets. Okay, we digress. We have, and we're so grateful to have you. We're grateful that you can see it on the ticket that you agreed to come participate with recognizing Black Business Month in Baltimore. We want to celebrate you with a Black Wall Street Award. We want people to know about your efforts. The theme is doing business with the city and the state. And of course, we should have put in there Washington, D.C.
That's all right.
And your playground. I mean, tell them what you do, Honorable.
Well, I'm with the Minority Business Economic Council, and basically we're an organization that's fighting and trying to advance opportunities, for Black-owned businesses and through state contracting, through local contracting. And I discovered during my service in Annapolis, there wasn't enough of advocacy on this issue of economic inclusion. Back 20 years ago, I noticed that. And I also noticed that some of the lawmakers, because, they may not have done what I've done to build my first business, or, Doni, things, all the entrepreneurial things that you've done, they don't have that type of perspective sometimes, whether you're Black or white, it doesn't matter. So there's a level of education that needs to take place. And so that's what we do. We're working with the state and local government agencies, even sometimes federal, and we're trying to work different ways, programs, all types of things, especially through policy, to create avenues of opportunity where we can get more Black business contracting opportunity. Because once again, I'm able to do all this because of my background in policy, being a lawmaker, because of my background working in the federal government procurement. A lot of people don't know about that aspect of me. I worked in procurement. My career started in federal procurement. And so
can I just say one thing? That one 8A contract would set a Black man straight. Would you agree?
Yes, an 8A contract. But what is a misnomer with people, and they're really having a lot of problems, and it's been going on a while, is believing when I get an 8A certification. So that does not give you anything. That gives you a hunting license. And if you don't know how to work that and you go into it too early, not under, because it's only 9 years, you won't make it. There's more people don't make it and get anything in 8A that do. The people who understand, that come with a game plan, that understand everything that they need to do to leverage that opportunity in about 9 years are the ones that just, it is like a lottery ticket in a sense, I mean, a winning lottery ticket.
I'm going to be unfair here. On a given day at your office, give me 5 people that regularly call you.
Well, I mean, we get calls for a variety of issues, and mostly from minority businesses. It's when there is a problem going on, or they face the roadblock, or they feel like they've been unfairly and fairly treated, by a government agency. And again, the other issues, like I mentioned in 8A, we're still having the same problems over and over again. So I get calls like with people saying, "Hey, I'm a certified company. I have everything, everything together, and there's a prime contractor using my name on the contract where I'm supposed to be a subcontractor, and I'm not getting any of the money. I'm not even able to do any of the work. They're not including me." This is something we've been fighting for 20 years. Why is this still occurring, where the prime contractor manipulates and takes advantage of the name of the minority subcontractor? And that's what we also had to understand. We don't also understand that these programs are mostly predicated on subcontracting. We don't really understand.
I don't want to be nobody's sub. I done dealt with crimes before.
See, that's the point.
But they like slave owners. It's
sharecropper. It's sharecropper.
Did you look that way? Did you do this? Did you do that?
That's right. That's right.
I am my own boss.
That's right.
As a sub, because it's this.
Their name is first.
Yeah, don't make me call some of the names of these primes.
Their name is first on the contract, and in some local governments, they don't even want to get involved in that, even though they take the credit to show the activity of what the local county has done. Anne Arundel, Montgomery, Prince George's, Baltimore County. They'll say, okay, we've done 400 billion with minority businesses. Most of the time, that's off of a sub. That's not the government directly giving the MBE anything.
So, big brother, this brings tears of pain and tears of joy. The question you posed last night. You don't remember the question?
I'll let you say it. I do. I think I know where you're going. You go on with it.
You said we got a black governor.
Coming.
You said we got a black attorney general. You said that we got a black treasurer. And you said that we got a black speaker of the House. I'll let you finish it.
Well, you know what? It goes back to comments your listeners made. It comes back to the comments the viewers made on Facebook, right? That came over the screen about the Marion Barry area. And then we also think about Maynard Jackson in Atlanta. And the airport, right? We always talk about that. It comes back to listen, in Annapolis, we are indoctrinated and don't even know it. And I fought it, but we are during the 90-day session, we are carrying out the affairs as black elected officials of white folks' business. That is what is going now. Here's the experiment. It's like the democracy. That's what they said after January 6th. Well, it's still an experiment. Here's the experience with our democracy of under-resourced and historically underutilized communities, is to understand the experiment that will take place come this January, once all of these amazing, unbelievable black faces in high places take their seats in power. And it's going to be an experiment to understand what will be the outcome then. Okay, what will be the outcome? What will be the deliverables of all of that black power? I'm going to work with them. I'm going to pray for them.
You said,
I'm
what's
going
the
to
excuse
support,
now? That's what you
I'm
said.
going to
What's
support
the
them.
excuse now?
But I would say it's going to be an experiment to figure out what, because Maryland
How
will
black
be,
we can be?
hey, Maryland is there, therefore will be the most
Maryland is changing forever.
it will be the most powerful black economic, I don't know what to say, it's
ecosystem. You want to see the Maryland DC corridor. I'm never going to forget DC. It's our neighbor. It's 45 minutes away. They got pretty girls. I will never forget DC. Which speaks to what people like Chet Howard will forever be remembered, connecting Baltimore, connecting Prince George's.
mm-hmm.
Why must I continually stay in touch with Joe Gaskins? Why is that a must? Why must I know about Hank Arrington? I'm from Baltimore, but I know who Hank Arrington was. You can't be in that area and not know Mr. Hank, who he was. You got to know who Wilbert Wilson is. And you better know Irvin Reed. Because without these people, you don't know what's going on. You may think you know.
Irvin ran my first campaign, my second campaign. I don't know, first or second. It was my campaign manager.
Where do we go from here?
Look, I worked with some of the candidates. I had a great discussion with current Congressman Anthony Brown about, when he becomes the Attorney General and what that will mean, which has not traditionally meant in terms of the impact it has the potential to have on state agencies with their involvement meeting the state law and the objective that's in the books about the 29% goal. So the oversight role that the AG's office can play that it really hasn't ever really played. It hasn't really
Brian Frost got down there and killed the bail bonds industries. There were some people all for cutting the bail bond industry. I don't know where these idiots come from.
Right.
But they killed black business.
Yeah.
There was a bail bonds group out of Prince George's County that we got a chance to meet and work with as we were trying to fight off Brian Frost. Why do white people come and say, I'm a civil rights leader? I ain't never seen you fighting no civil rights. I ain't seen you nowhere near the fight.
Yeah, well, I think there's one that's just coming. I think there's one coming in office that just made that claim.
No, you not. I never saw you. Where were you when Martin O'Malley was locking us up 1-6? Where were you on MBE? When I asked about MBE, there were crickets. There were crickets chirping. Then I see all of the black people, but I guess, we got a black attorney general and a black governor, so we could have had a sweep. I'm for the sweep. I'm with Derek Davis. I'd have got them Republican votes to make me Speaker of the House. Right. I don't care what you think. I'm the Speaker. Keep running your mouth. Your office will be by the bathroom. Maggie McIntosh could have cut our head off if she would have won. We want to play nice.
That's
nice
right.
Guys finish last. Mike Miller ain't played nice.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Mike Miller was a slave owner. I said it. I thought Francho was one too. I said it. Slavery is over. You got to get a copy of my first book, Unapologetically Black. That's Donnie Glover in front of the White House. Can you believe they let me in the White House? I was there again a couple of weeks ago.
And the guards ain't come.
We all should be up in the White House. Let me tell you something. What do you want for our young people? Montgomery County, Prince George's County, right next to DC, you got a black woman vice president. Do you push your young people to the White House?
You mean what do you mean in terms of what?
Getting involved. I know people who work at the White House in various capacities, from Secret Service to cameramen.
Right.
I mean, I send people to the White House all the time.
Yeah.
We need to be in there and regularly.
Yeah. I mean, you want your young. Guess what my mother did for me? You want your young people to be exposed. My mother. That's how I got involved. This didn't happen overnight. My mother was taking me 11 years old up to the State House to lobby Governor Mandel at the time in the 70s, because we needed supports for my sister who was, severely developmentally disabled. So I came out of an advocacy arm where my mother was a organizer. That's where it started for me. And exposure, I mean, this is why I was asking, of course, exposure is everything. I was exposed to all this at a young age. It didn't just happen. I mean, a lot of times we're so, look at what I did and I got here on my own. That's a fallacy. Nobody got to where they are on their own accord. You got there because somebody helped you. Somebody, lifted you. Somebody sponsored you. And this is why we should have the fight that we have in us to do better, do more, because we have all gotten to where we are today, and we see all these.
Manny say the Dan Cox gonna win.
Huh?
Okay, so he said we putting the horse before the cart. We still got to go through the general election. Dan Cox could win. Okay.
Well, he's down. I think he's down 35. That doesn't mean anything, but he's down 35 points at this right now at the start.
What does this say for Larry Hogan?
Right. He's not what whoever hype. That must have come from him saying he's the most popular Republican governor, and that must have been a soundbite that started and it spread around.
He was doing the O'Malley. He was trying to parlay to the next phase. But the parlay, you know what stuck? Rhino. I never heard of a rhino other than the ones out the zoo. Republican in name only. And then I think the Democrats put some money in Cox's campaign. Not too much, just enough to beat Kelly Schultz, because Kelly Schultz would have been more of a difficult challenger.
Yeah, no, of course. So they meddled in these people's primary, and I guess that's fine. I mean, that's something
I'm proud of the Democrats for getting some testicular fortitude to learn how to fight, because too often the Democrats be getting punched in the mouth, and I ain't that kind of Democrat.
Right. Well,
Republicans ain't got no problem. They coming out to win. They coming to win, and
I think this. Listen. This is I have dealt. I dealt extensively. From a elected standpoint with the Republicans, and I was a Democratic member, and so
Manny Price needs his own show. Manny Price needs his own show. He won't come on here. He won't be a guest. You don't know Manny Price. Dems put $3 million in health cards. Okay, all right. Manny's an East Baltimore Politico.
Okay, cool. Well, he sounds like he got it going on. Knows his stuff. That's good.
He went to Syracuse. Where'd you go to college?
Sound like he's informed.
Where'd you go to college?
Right there in Morgan, man.
Nah, he'd have got in trouble if he went to Morgan. He definitely would not have left the bridge. Have you been to Morgan lately?
I was just there for a conference. Remember, I was mentioning to you, there was a crisis in the Black community conference just 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was awesome.
What did that campus look like?
It was amazing, truly amazing.
You helped build that. You helped. Was Earl Richardson the
Yes,
most tenacious.
Dr. Richardson was the president when I was there in the 80s or whatever. I
Yo,
think it was the
but
80s.
was he the quintessential
Yes.
proponent for his? You saw him there all the man. One day we were going to Annapolis. His car went by. Zoom. I'm like, damn, the president flying.
He was amazing, man.
But he understood Annapolis. Stanley Tucker, a non-political black man who understands Annapolis. I love these guys. They show you what can be done. Tiger Davis. Tiger Davis was trying to get us equity ownership from the gambling.
You know, when you mention him, I'm so honored. I got to serve with legends like that. I got to serve with Tiger Davis, and he was just, you know, the young people like myself that were there at the time. You know, he educated, mentored us, and you know, I just really have a lot of pride because I got to serve alongside with someone like a Tiger Davis, and who every year instilled in the legislature the history and gave honor to, you know what, the Buffalo Soldiers.
Veterans was his thing.
Yes. So it was incredible. He did not waste one moment and did not assume anything of what someone knew or didn't know. And every year he stood up and gave extensive education to white, to black, to who doesn't matter, to the young, to the old, about the history and the impact of the Buffalo Soldiers.
He taught me about James Fortin. James Fortin, he helped me, gave me insight for my second book, I Am Black Wall Street. James Fortin was a millionaire up in Philadelphia during the Revolutionary War. See, America has the tendency to make us think that all black people were slaves and that all white people were free. They would have you think that all blacks on the Trail of Tears were slaves. That's why you got to get my book, because we show you that they were warriors.
I love it.
Out of Florida.
I knew you had one book in you. I didn't know you had all the several. So I'm much pride I have for you, man, on that. You know, getting all these books.
Are you gonna run again?
I doubt it. It's like I said, you know, it kind of speaks back to my, you know, the role I have and the time that's needed. Like even one of your listeners said, you know, your kids need your time, right? So my objective is to raise a son and provide for him and still be involved in the community and really know that, you know, I don't have to be elected to make a difference. Everyone's out here trying to run because they want to, you know, because of social media. And I was at a time where they asked me to run 25 or 30 years ago in Montgomery County. And I was like, no, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want, you know, publicly to be out there. And it's just amazing how everything has changed, because now people, the millennial, hey, choose me. Yes. You know, because I don't mean to be negative, but part of it is, hey, you want to see your name out there. You want to see, you know, and I was told by some of the greats that served and did big things in Annapolis when I was just not stepping in and out. I just won my general election. Because 25 years ago, you had to win a general election. It wasn't just a primary. You know, you had to win both, because you actually had a hard general election too, especially in the area I was in. And they said, look, there's two types of people. Before I stepped foot in Annapolis as a legislator, they said, look, when you go up there, there's going to be two types of people, two types of mindsets of elected officials, people who came there to be somebody and people that came there to do something. And I think too often you got people that are coming, they want to be somebody. They want to be something. They want to see their name. They want to be, you know, people aren't seeped into the policy aspect anymore. You know, when I first got elected, I passed sweeping bills. The living wage bill was my bill. Tom Perez ran for governor on the living wage as the implementer of the legislation that I wrote.
I haven't seen that dude in Baltimore since 2006.
But I wrote the living wage law that made sure that you could not foster
We
poverty
can
when
only get
someone
bills
has a
faster more. They go entire sessions without sponsoring any bills.
right. So well, you don't have to. So you don't have to anymore. Right now, it's about your brand. When they go up there, it's about your Twitter feed. It's about how many followers. It's a form of entertainment.
I'm gonna leave you with the words of Malcolm X. I'd rather be what I am, a black man, than to claim membership with the most favored of any other race. Merit is in the long run recognized and rewarded. I say that here not to call attention to myself as an individual, but to the race to which I am proud to belong. Do the damn work. Herman Taylor, it's a pleasure. We will see you on August 22nd here in the city of Baltimore, Darker Than Blue. Let me tell you, I don't know if you've ever eaten at KC Jenkins Darker Than Blue, but I want you to try the lemon pepper wings.
Ooh.
I want you to try the cornbread. The cornbread will make you kiss your mama. and he got a cowboy steak with your name on it.
Whoa. Okay. I'm
He
all
got
for
some
that.
salmon, he got some sauteed spinach.
I'm all for it.
I used to be a waiter. I didn't tell you about that time in my life. I sold 5 shots of Louis XIII on a Monday night. Went home with $150 tip in my pocket. That's when I was a bad boy. My name's Donnie Glover. We're with the one and only Honorable Herman Taylor, new daddy for the past 6 years. We love and respect you. Any final thoughts?
Really, man, just, it's really good to be with you. And it's your work is going on for decades now, and just keep up what you're doing. Keep up what you're doing, man. We need you.
We need you too. And you don't have to be in that game. That's a cutthroat game. You can be a coach now. You can be a player coach. Or you can just get ready to be the second black governor. Oh, that's right, Manny. I'm getting ahead of myself. Whoever wins the primary typically wins the general. And I know damn well Westmore ain't going to lose the Cox. He's going to knock his block off. That's
what it looks like. Absolutely. Yep. There it is.
Trump candidate. You want to show Trump what it is. Good morning, world. Thank you. Thank you, Herman.
All right. Good to be.
Have a good day, everyone. Good morning.